Well, good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing, Thursday, August 8th, 2024. And I've got to say it's a pretty average morning today. It's a bit chilly and it is bloody windy, so apologies if it's coming through the microphone. But you can't have it all sunshine and rainbows every day, as they say. We've had a really nice week, beautiful day, pretty much every day. But today, yeah, a little bit average. We've got to keep an eye on Neil. He's almost been blown away a few times as we watch a herd of kangaroos over there. I think that's what he's got his eyes on. There's about bloody 50 of them in there. Probably might be more in there having their breakfast. And there's a couple of alphas over there standing up, seeing what we're up to. But it's all good, fellas. We're just cruising on by. All right, on to the boxing. Well, the first thing I suppose was the big news yesterday, of course, was Tim Tszyu. I sort of covered that, and again, I said in the video, I had my video sort of locked away that I did, and I just happened to scroll on social media while I was in the last stretch home, and saw that Tim was now the mandatory for Bakram Murtazalyov, and at that point it was very, very new, by the way, so all fresh, so we didn't really have any details. So it looks like obviously the September 22nd date is off, so a little bit of a press conference for nothing there from the boys, but it is what it is. But yeah, so look, I would doubt that it's going to be in Australia. You never know, and maybe when I finish this video there'll be a post on No Limits Facebook page saying massive news, breaking news, Tim Tszyu's going to fight in Australia. But as it stands, this time of the morning, no news. So, because I think Murtazalyov's manager has been quoted as saying that they're not really prepared to come to Australia, and nor should they be. I mean, he is the champion. The problem is he's, of course, from Russia, and at this stage there's no fights going on in Russia. So there has to be a promoter willing, obviously, to put the fight on in the States, or will we see Turki Al Sheikh come to the rescue and put the fight on maybe the Better Beev and Bivol card in October? Lots of options anyway, and I'm sure they've got the Fury Usyk card as well in December. So there's a few irons in the fire that I'm sure they could get that fight on. Speaking of Turki Al Sheikh, is it just me, or he's starting to get a little bit lippy, His Excellency? He was not happy that Canelo Alvarez turned a bit of a blind eye to him, or gave him the hand, if that's the term. And I don't think Turki Al Sheikh took it very kindly. This is about Terence Crawford, obviously. And Turki Al Sheikh said that he's changed his mind. As I said yesterday, I've got a feeling that Canelo was the one that said, sorry, not interested. And I've got a feeling too that Turki Al Sheikh's not used to being rebuffed or denied or turned away, whatever you might want to call it. So I don't think he was very impressed. But he did get on there and actually have a bit to say about Canelo, which I've got to admit, if I'm being honest, I'm not overly happy about. I think, okay, you haven't got your man, but just move on. You've got all these other fighters you can put on your cards. I know Canelo's the biggest name in the sport, but not everyone wants to come and fight for Turki Al Sheikh. And I didn't mind the whole statement that he put out saying that, well, I'm not going to, or I'm not interested in the fight anymore. We're going to move on with these fighters, and that's fine. But the other statement that he saw, the comment that he made about Canelo, saying that he's afraid and all these sorts of things, it just didn't sound right. Coming from Turki Al Sheikh, it just didn't resonate with me. It just seemed a bit odd. He's always been very polite and businesslike, and I just got a feeling that he wasn't overly happy that Canelo said thanks, but no thanks. Now, speaking of also, not speaking of, I think I've just brought it up actually, the 154-pound division. I'm talking about Tim. Getting back to Tim here. The 154-pound division, probably the hottest division in boxing at the moment when you think about it. I know there's a fair bit of activity at heavyweight and sort of 135/140, but I had a good look at it yesterday. This is when the fight, the announcement came out about Tim Tszyu and Murtazalyov, and I just had a look at the rankings and the fights and where we're at, and it sort of got me thinking, who is the top dog at the weight? What is the pecking order of that weight division? And I suppose you've got to look. One thing I will say, you probably got to break it up into two little divisions, if that's what you want to call it. One is the who is or what are. It's got this car who's just been a dipshit. He's just sitting there backing out and waiting for him, and now he's just standing there waiting for me. Anyway, yeah, so it's probably got to be put into two divisions. One is that who are or what are the rankings based on merit and resume and belts and all that sort of stuff. And then you've got, sorry, I just got spun around by Neil. Then you've got another one that what is the rankings as far as who are the best fighters ranked in the division. So I think there's a difference. One is you've got the merit rankings, and then you've got exactly who are the best fighters ranking. So I'm going to just get my my phone out here because I did write them down. I had to cheat. When you got 10 fighters, you know, I am getting on a little bit. So the 154-pound rankings. Now again, I'll just preface this by saying it's just my opinion. It's not locked in stone. It's not gospel. It's just my opinion. I'm sure you'll have yours, and if you've got them, put them in the comments there. I'll just grab this little bugger. It's looking to go into someone's yard. All right, so we'll start with the rankings as far as merit. So in terms of belts, resume, all the rest of it, and then we'll go through who I think are the actual best fighters in the division. And just actually before I do that, what's been great about the whole thing is that we've got the 8 best fighters in the division, in my opinion, all fighting against each other or have just fought against each other. And that's something you don't sort of see a lot these days. So of course we had Terence Crawford and Israel Madrimov last weekend. We've now got Tim Tszyu and Bakram Murtazalyov for the IBF belt. The Crawford Madrimov fights were for the WBA and WBO. Looks like we're going to have Fundora and Spence. I know it hasn't been 100% signed off on yet with everything, but that will be for the WBC belt. And we've also got Virgil Ortiz and Sergey Bolachuk this weekend. Now what's that one for? Some sort of interim belt, WBC interim belt. So there's so much going on at the moment. So that's probably, you know, obviously the first good thing. All right, so let's get into it. Number one. Well, we'll go. I'll start at number one. I was going to start at number 10, but I'll start at number one. This is for the merit rankings. This is who has done the most as far as belts and resume. All right, so I'm still going to stick with Terence Crawford at number one. I know it wasn't a great performance the other day. I know he's only had the one fight at 154, but I think he should be ranked number one in the division with the WBO and WBA belts in his keeping now. Number two, this will be a little bit controversial. I've got Sebastian Fundora. Look, regardless of what you thought of his fight with Tim, he won the fight. He won the WBC and WBO belts. WBO belts, of course, now been taken away. But look, as I said, no matter what you think of what happened and what might have happened if the fight didn't go the way that it did with that shocking cut on Tim Tszyu, it doesn't mean anything. Sebastian Fundora won the fight and beat Tim Tszyu, who was probably regarded as the number one fighter in the division at that time. So I've got Sebastian Fundora number two. Number three, I have got Tim Tszyu, and that is again based a lot on the fact that I think you got to give him an asterisk beside that loss. He had the WBO belt, and of course the circumstances in the fight, I think you got to give him a little bit of a break for that. So I've got him at number three. Number four, Israel Madrimov. Very, very good performance against Terence Crawford last week. I know a lot of people are saying he might have been a bit unlucky to lose. That's a different conversation, but I've still got him at number four. I think he's again on merit, coming off a loss, but still I think deserves to be number 4. Number 5, I've got the IBF champion, Bakram Murtazalia. I know he hasn't had a lot of big wins or anything like that, but he still is the IBF champion. So I've got him at number 5. Number 6, I've got the WBC interim champion, Sergey Boychuk. That could change this week. Number 7, I've got Virgil Ortiz. Now, it could be argued that they could probably swap that Ortiz is 6, Boychuk's number 7, but the only 2 wins at 154 from Ortiz have been 2 first-round blowouts, a very, very average opposition. So, and then you've got Boychuk coming off that really impressive 12-round decision over Brian Mendoza. So I'll leave that there. Number 8, look, I've gone for Errol Spence. Now, I know he's not or hasn't fought at 154 pounds before. I get that. But in my opinion, well, the fact is he's got a fight locked in at 154. Well, is it locked in? Probably not. It's not locked in. But he's another guy coming up with his little yapper. You've got to be careful of the little dogs. They're the ones that poke will puff the chest out the most and have a bit of a crack. Good, he's taking him across the other side of the road. But yeah, the fact that he has actually got that fight tentatively scheduled, I've got him at number 8. I think I've got to give him a bit of an up, I suppose, with Crawford. It's not like he's got nothing planned. All right, and then number 9. Actually, what have I got there? I have Erickson Lubin. Some people might have him a little bit higher, not me. I've got him at number 9, and I think a little bit irrelevant if you ask me. And then at number 10, I've got Jesus Ramos Jr. And look, there could be others that have, you could maybe put in Xander Zayos, Josh Kelly, but I think those last 2 spots are relatively irrelevant anyway, if you ask me. But so it's a pretty strong top 10 no matter how you look at it. And again, I know you guys will have your own ways of judging it. So let's now get into the best fighters in the division. Take all the belts and resumes and everything out. Who are the best fighters in that 154-pound division? Now I'm going to stick with number 1 with Terence Crawford. I think we've got to give him a little bit of an out on the weekend. It wasn't a great performance, but I just think back to his performance last year, and I was there in the building when he absolutely took Errol Spence apart. And that's probably the most dominant, or one of the most dominant performances I've ever seen in a fight of that stature. It's a massive fight. The 2 best welterweights of the generation. Well, I was going to say of the generation. Obviously, you've got to put Manny Pacquiao and Mayweather in there, but you know what I'm getting at. A massive, massive fight for all the marbles, and Terence Crawford absolutely ripped Errol Spence apart. So I'm going to go on that. Still have him at number 1. Number 2, I've got our man, Tim Tszyu. I think he's the 2nd best fighter in the division. And who knows, at the end of this year, he could be number 1. We'll see what happens with the Murtazalia fight, but I've got him as the number 2 dog in the division. Number 3, I've got Israel Madrimov. I thought his performance on the weekend really showed that he's at the level, and will give all the top fighters in that division all they can handle. I would love to see Tim and Madrimov, if I'm being honest, but I've got him at number 3. Now number 4 might surprise a little bit. I've actually got Virgil Ortiz. Now I know I just said he's coming off 2 obliterations of the first round of his overmatched opponents, but I just think he'll prove this weekend that he is one of the top fighters in the division. So I've got him at number 4, arguably that is. I know it's a tough one. You try and do it yourself. It's actually quite hard when you're looking at just on who is the best fighters in the division. Number 5, I've got Sebastian Fundora. I think his performance against Tim Tszyu showed that he can fight. The Mendoza fight obviously goes against him, but I think he showed that he's got a lot of heart and ability, and I've got him at number 5. Number 6, I've actually got Sergey Boychuk, so that's why I'm really looking forward to this weekend's fight with Ortiz. Should be fireworks, that's for sure. Number 7, I've got Bakram Murtazalia. Good, tough, solid fighter, but relatively unproven, and he's going to get a chance, of course, to prove himself against Tim. Number 8, I've got Errol Spence. To me, looked real damaged goods against Crawford, and again, he hasn't fought at 154, so I'll put him down the list a little bit. I just think he looked absolutely shot against Crawford, and I've got him at number 8. And then I've got number 9, Jesus Ramos Jr. and Eriksson Lubin to round out the top 10. So look, I know everyone's going to probably have it a little bit different. It's not easy to do, but the good thing about it is that we're looking at a division having so many very, very good fighters in there, a couple of great fighters, but very, very good fighters, and they're all going to be fighting each other. So, and that's what I said the other day with Terence Crawford. I know he wants the Canelo fight for legacy and money, let's face it, against Canelo. But geez, with all those great fights at 154, I think he's going to enhance his legacy just as much, maybe, if he cleans out the 154-pound division and wins all the belts there and then hangs up the gloves. So, but I'm excited as well that Tim has got an opportunity to get back in the mix, well, more than in the mix, because he'll have a belt if he wins. And I think it's a credit to No Limit, because I think we're all sitting around scratching our heads, wondering what was going on with Tim, and maybe he might be frozen out of the division, and especially with the comments from Turki Al Sheikh that maybe Tim wasn't part of his plans either. But in the space of a day or two, he's got another world title fight, and when he wins that belt, if he wins that belt, he's then his own man, and he'll have all those fighters wanting to take him on again, and he'll have a chance to prove his greatness. So guys, that is it for today. I'm going to get home and get Neil inside in front of the heater. She's a bit chilly, a bit windy, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for Walking Boxing. Have a great day.